Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. Jerel Hendricks with us as always on the board here for our round 2 playoff preview show. John, round 1, we always talk about, you had some blowouts, you had a few really good football games, but I will say across the state of South Carolina, we didn't lose any of the main contenders, main favorites in any class last week, it felt like.
Yeah, I think the biggest contender that we lost last week was Strong Thurman.
Yeah.
That was a team that I personally thought had a really good chance of making it very far.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not to Orangeburg, maybe not to win the state championship, but to certainly be there toward the end. And, that was a tough matchup. We knew going in, playing Chester's going to be tough, and the Cyclones put it together.
Yeah, we had a great time over at the Storm Center. Appreciate those guys for having us out there, Coach Floyd and Coach Campbell, and Coach Stillwell as well. Lots of great folks there. But appreciate you guys joining us tonight. As always, follow us here on Facebook, on Twitter/X, on Instagram, on YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website, our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do our weekly preview show here about 7:15 on Tuesday nights. We go live on Facebook and YouTube for that. We do our recap show that comes out on Sundays on our podcast platforms. We have coach interviews, previews, all kinds of great stuff throughout the week as well on all of our socials for you guys to check out. Get your Movin the Chains merch. We've got some great stuff for you. Sorry, I can't grab it back here, guys. Got some great hats, some Richardson hats, a black, black back, a kind of a gray back there, a black front one as well. Lots of great stuff. All that's posted on our social media pages. I think also on our website as well. We have some great toboggans, beanies, whatever you want to call it. I know John wore his gray one last week to the game.
I needed it.
Really, really high quality stuff here. We got some great T-shirts as well if you're more of a T-shirt person. I'm wearing the gray one currently. We got a black one as well. Small logo front, big logo on the back. We got a navy blue and a pink as well for the ladies or fellas too. We don't discriminate here. Yeah. We got some great hoodies. I'll probably definitely have mine on Friday, so we look cooler this week. And we got a gray hoodie here. Same design on the front and back, kind of an ash stone white one as well. So definitely get your merch. You can email mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can message us on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever you want to do. We can, help you out there. We take some of the games typically as well. So if you're at a game, you see us, so hey, can I grab a hat? Can I grab a shirt? A lot of times we have something in the trunk. So just ask us about that, and we'll try to help you out there. But John, any other thoughts on, round 1 or just anything else before we get into our CONA games of the week here?
Yeah, we'll talk about as we come across some of these teams, but I was impressed by a few teams, the way that they came out in round 1. And, we'll talk about as we get into these round 2 games. I think there's some teams that I kind of wrote off or didn't really give much of a chance to win this Friday if they won last Friday. I feel a little bit differently about a couple teams. They looked really good last Friday.
Yeah, one more plea I do want to make. I mentioned earlier, follow us on other platforms. Please like us and subscribe on YouTube as well. As you saw last week, we had a little bit of an issue with our Facebook stream. It cut out, so appreciate you guys who joined us over on YouTube and Twitter. So make sure you follow us everywhere in case we do have another issue like that this week. We hope we don't, but, big Facebook maybe trying to keep us down. We don't know. We'll just see how that shakes out. But, Jerel, any comments from the chat before we go into our CONA games of the week? Or anybody want to say hello to as we get rolling here? Big Louisville says, Adrian, those boys continue to roll, man. Another big win for the Lions. And you were right about Fairfield and Chester, man. You called it. You locked in on those two teams, no doubt about it. Fairfield looked really good. Big win over Chesterfield. Kevron, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you joining us, as always. Brandon says he'll be at Chester. Clinton should be a great one. Yes, sir. That is a high-level matchup. Al said, hey, y'all lost JDA. We completely missed that one. I thought JDA was the state title favorite all year long, and they get beat by Lawrence. I didn't see that coming in.
I think they were the favorite. They just
had to be. And the Richard Wynn, Allison, they will play Lawrence for the state title this Friday night at WW King. We'll break that down here in a little bit. That's a big game as well, an 8-man. Your boy Cam says Big Newberry High. Yes, that is a big matchup. We'll talk about that one here in a bit too. May go to that game. We'll see. Chris says, what's up, Chris? Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you joining us. Tank says, let's win this week. Let's go Hartsville. Yes, you get a little bit of rivalry matchup taking on Darlington in the playoffs. For Hartsville, that's cool there. Todd says MVP. Coach, the stars are rolling. You know it, and they're playing good football right now. Very big Irmo versus everyone. Irmo is, legit one of the top 3, 4, 5 best teams in the state, and they can beat anyone, no doubt about it. Noah says, how about those Hillcrest Rams? Big week for the Rams against Greenwood. That'll be a fun one this week. Chris says, what's up, fellas? Good to see you, Chris. Appreciate you. Your Panthers continue to roll down there. Tim says, Dillon Wildcats over Newberry. We'll get to that game. Should be a fun one for sure over at Bulldog Stadium. Anybody else, Jerel, before we lock into our CONA games of the week?
Let's jump into it, guys.
Our Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates games of the week, our CONA games of the week, 5 of the biggest ones across the state. John, let's start with the 2A battle with 2 teams that have played really good football this year. Kind of feel like they're flying under the radar, even though they're 8-2 and 9-1 respectively. That's Hampton County traveling to Manning. The Hurricanes at 8-2, a 42-21 victory over Woodland last week, averaging 33 on offense, 19 on defense. Manning, 55-0. They blanked North Central last week. Only 1 loss on the season, playing good football there for Coach Kennedy, averaging 33 on offense, 10 on defense. This seems to me like it's 2 teams that want to play defense, want to run the football, could be in for a low-scoring game Friday night.
Yeah, and this we've been dying for a game like this for Manning for a while. That 1 loss was their first game of the year against Crestwood, a really tight 17-14 game.
Yeah.
They've run off, 9 in a row, 10 in a row now since then. I'm just not sure how good they are.
Yeah.
They haven't been super, or they haven't played super good talent.
For sure. I mean, that region, straight up, that region's a little bit weak this year. I mean, it really is. It's not the best region.
Their best win, you could say, was the final week of the regular season, an overtime win against Lake City.
Yep.
They also beat up on a Mullins team that was playing really good football. They kind of turned Mullins season when they got beat by Manning. And then Hampton County is a team that I was really high on in the preseason, really early on season. I don't think they're quite as good as I thought they were this year, but they have really played some good football lately. They lost to Barnwell, and then final game of the regular season, they really controlled the game against a really good Whale Branch team. And then last week, first round of the playoffs, a good Woodland team, they blew them out.
Yeah.
42-21. They're playing really good football. They might be playing their best football of the year right now. I like Hampton County in this game. I think they're a little bit more tested. And I may be biased because I was high on them early in the year, but I think they're the better team too. But I admittedly just don't know a ton about Manning either.
Yeah, the Hurricanes quarterback, Chris Terry, he's, I think, a multi-year starter there, knows how to run the offense for them. The playmaker is Jalen Singletary. He's a running back / DB. I think earlier this season he had a 200 rush yard game plus 2 pick sixes. He was one of our players of the week, had a huge game for them. Receiver Jordan Bovane is a stud out wide. They want to run the football. They average 235 on the ground per game, so they want to get it done on the ground. Defensively, Mandrell Sanders, he's a Super 75 guy of ours. He is a stud, 69 tackles, 10.5 tackles for all, 6.5 sacks. A young sophomore I like a lot, Javen Risher, I believe either the brother or cousin of Jamie and Risher from Wade Hampton a couple of years back. I think walked on at South Carolina now. He's a really good player for them as well. Head coach Rob Hanna, one of the best in the business. Last year, what he did with that program, first year of them coming together with Estill Hampton and Wade Hampton was really impressive. He's done a great job again this season. On the Manning side, quarterback Jerel Mitchell, receiver Jeffrey Caesar, running back John Tavius Canty. They ran for 300+ last week as a team. Now, North Central is not a great football team, but anytime you can run for 300+ is pretty impressive. Defensively led by Jerron Hammett. And, a question I had written down right here, John, was what you said earlier. What's their best win? I mean, I guess it's Lake City in overtime, who I like the Lake City team a lot. I really do. But it might be an issue when that's your best win.
Yeah, at the time, I think that Mullins win was a really big.
Yeah,
They dominated that game as well. I think they won 33-6, and that was a Mullins team that was playing really good football. They were really hot at that point in time. But yeah, you don't have a game that you can really brag about. If you're Manning to this point, but I still think they're a really good team.
They are. They're all
a really good team. Just don't know how good.
They're a team that has competed in 3A, for region titles and from a deep preference the last couple of years. But I agree with you. I think Hampton County a little bit more tested. I think a little more explosive as well. That's why I'm going with the Hurricanes. I think the Hurricanes go on the road and get this win. Jerel, comments from you or from the chat on this 2A matchup between Hampton County and Manning?
Yeah, I'm like you guys. I think we just know a little bit more about Hampton County based on the schedule. The 2 losses they have are two really good football teams. You know, so it's no shame in those. Manning, again, just their schedule was a little bit weaker this year, so you just have to give Hampton County the edge. Like the breakdowns there, I think they're going to be able to get it done. But it should be a very good football game.
For sure. What is the chat saying about that one or about anything in general? Chris says Hampton County by 14.
Be big.
Tyler says be a better win for Manning. So schedule's not the best. He thinks Hampton County by 14. I agree, Tyler. I think if they win this game, It'll be the Monarchs' best win by far.
Sure.
But I think Hampton County wins. Tanya, so let's go Woodruff. That's one of our games. Tanya will get that here in a minute. That was a big game as well. Randy says, go Cavs, alive and dominating. Yeah, Christchurch team that I pointed out last week had a good spot in the bracket where they could make a run, had a nice win last week, had another chance to get another big win this week. Thanks, Randy, for tuning in as always. Tim says, don't sleep on Jerel, playing good ball at the right time. They certainly are, Tim. They are one of our favorites, I think, in lower state 2A, and they are playing hot and playing well for Coach Poole at the moment.
Got to get the CFP rankings in there.
Gamecocks 18, Clemson 17 on the most recent rankings.
Is it better be higher or lower?
I don't think it matters for either one of us, John, honestly.
And 2 Saturdays, it's not going to matter whether you're 17th or 18th.
Jerel says Fairfield Central. They are playing good football too. The Griffins in Upper State 2A are a force right now with Greer at quarterback, playing great for Coach Davis and that bunch there.
Let's go to the next game, guys.
Our second CONA game of the week, a 4A battle. May River, the Sharks at 8-2, coming off a double overtime win over Bluffton, 46-45 last Friday, John. They travel down to the Jackets Nest, take on North Augusta at 10-1. North Augusta cruised to a 56-0 win over Airport. It was 42-0 at halftime there. The Yellow Jackets averaging 38 on offense, 15 on defense. May River, 35 on offense, 17 on defense. The Sharks, they want to run the football. That offense they run is kind of a, I don't know what you want to call it, single wing, double wing, triple option type, but they're going to run the ball all night long on you. Last week, Andrew Johnson, 22 for 146, 2 touchdowns. Sean Mitchell, 19 for 86, 1 touchdown. Quarterback Tanner Macy, 17 for 93 and 3 touchdowns, and had the game-winner 2-point conversion as well. In overtime, Bluffton scored. May River scores, goes for 2, and Macy runs it in there for them. They ran for 357 last week, John, a big number for them defensively. Ethan Sprinkle, 10 tackles. A.J. Hamilton, 12 tackles for Coach Bonneville's bunch. The Yellow Jackets, quarterback Corey Tillman, 2 pass touchdowns last week. Running back Michael Doe, 3 TD runs. Just another week for him, and he does every week, it feels like there. Receiver Connor Brown being back has been a huge pickup. He is, one of the best at those jump balls, those 50-50 balls. He goes and gets it like no other. He is a great player out there for them. The offensive line with Gaston up front is a force. Defensively, Alex Powell, DeAndre Baskett, Dante Bell. He had a pick last week. They're all playing well, along with Ty Burke on the back end. 2 teams that can get it onto the ground for sure, and it may come down to who can make the other team more uncomfortable. Because I don't know if you're going to stop either one of these bunches, really.
Yeah, and 2 good teams. They've been 2 teams that I've had North Augusta in my top 5. I think I've either put May River on my top 5 a couple times or had them really had them close. Yeah. 2 good teams here. I think North Augusta, I don't know if they're necessarily better than May River. I think these 2 teams are pretty equal when it comes down to it. But North Augusta's played a handful of really close games, and they've only lost 1 of them.
Yeah.
North Augusta is really, really good. They've won 9 games in a row. I love May River. Loses to Bluffton, turns right back around and beats them the next week. That's very impressive. I think we could see a little bit of a shootout here. I know both of them running the ball could shorten the game a little bit, but I think this could be a surprisingly high scoring game. I think it's going to be really, really close all the way through. I think at the end of the game, North Augusta is going to find a way to win this game or make that one play to separate them from May River in this one. I
really want to see how this goes. Maybe like May River with that offense, may play some ball control, try to play a little keep away there from North Augusta. But North Augusta, they had the home run hitters. Like Tillman and Doe can score from 70, 80 out every time they have the ball. So it might not be a big difference. The only issue is if you continue to do that, that defense gets really worn down for the Yellow Jackets. We'll see how that goes there. But I think North Augusta is playing just so well right now, man. They are on quite a roll. You mentioned that the one loss was back to Lexington when they had the ball inside the 5. I think the 3 actually couldn't score. They have rolled since then. I think they're a little bit more talented. And I like the fact that they are a little bit more multidimensional. They can do something else if they have to. May River is really heavy on the run, of course. North Augusta kind of has a good mix there, I feel like. Did have a couple turnovers last week, and you can't do that against May River. If you do that, you might fall behind, and then you're just in a lot of trouble. But I think the Yellow Jackets, your key is if you win the toss, take the ball, score first, put May River behind, and just make them play from behind all night long. I think is the key there. So you want to start fast if you're North Augusta for sure. But I like them to win this game. I think too much firepower on offense with Doe and Tillman and Brown there. I think North Augusta wins this one.
I think it'd be a really good game, though.
Yep. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on this 4A matchup with the Sharks and the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, I like a North Augusta in this one, too. It is just like you mentioned. I like their ability to actually throw the football as well. When you look at a May River team, someone who's run heavy like that, turnovers are huge. Like, it could be great for them if they're causing turnovers and they can play ball control. But if they turn the ball over, it's always tougher for them to come back in that game. So I'm going North Augusta on this one. I think they're a little bit better. Again, these are, like John mentioned, these are two teams that we've had in the top 5 all year. So it should be a fantastic football game.
Certainly should be a good environment as well down there at the Jackets Nest. Chris says North Augusta by 10.
I think it's going to be closer.
Tank says North Augusta too much offense. Maybe may try ball control. Still like Jackets by 14. That sounds about right to me there. I think that's a good call there, Tank. Terrence, what's up, guys? Hampton County in the house. Yes, one of our games of the week, Terrence. If you missed it, we talked about that one game first. You can go back and watch that when we get done here. Big win or a big game against Manning. Maybe by 10 he picks. Okay, that would be a surprise to me, but at this point in the playoffs, everybody's good. So it certainly could happen.
Just one for later in the show.
Curtis says, what upsets do we foresee? Let me look at the schedule, Curtis. We'll go through them as we get to them. But I don't want to list off anybody quite yet, but there are certainly some that I could see happening at this point. Kelly says, any college scouts, upcoming game scouts, reach out to you guys or use your great stats and test info. I know they'll be at some games for sure, especially when you get to that state title weekend. They'll be down there for that. We don't talk to a whole lot of scouts. We have a couple that follow us on social media. So they may see our stuff, but we don't really have any personal conversations with them, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, I think, a lot of the scouts they know who they want to see. They know who they want to watch. And it's, I think when the kids are in 11th and 12th grade, it's more of a question of kind of doing your FaceTime with the kids, remind them, hey, I'm here for you. Hey, I'm coming to see your game. Trying to sell yourself more so than school XYZ that may not be at a kid's game on a Friday night.
Yeah. Najee says, Camden here says, Deshandra, I missed Najee's comment. I don't know if it was good or not. Sorry, it went away quick.
Camden going to Wren, I think.
They are. Should be a fun game in Upper State 4A.
Let's move on to the next game, guys.
Our third CONA game of the week. A really, really good 3A matchup here, John. And that's Woodruff, the Wolverines at 9-1, traveling to Powdersville, taking on the Patriots at 8-3. Woodruff, a 28-21 winner of Pendleton last week, averaging 40 on offense, 24 on defense. Powdersville rolled Broome 37-13, 36 points on offense, 24 points on defense allowed. Powdersville, a team that has gone from 0-3 to 8-3 now, winning 8 games in a row. Woodruff, I will say, they won last week, but that scoreline scares me a little bit about the Wolverines.
Big time. If Woodruff plays like they did last week, this week, I think they get beat. And it may not be very close. Because Powdersville's playing really good football right now. Woodruff's the better team. Woodruff has got the talent. We've seen they've got good quarterback talent. They have a really promising up-and-coming running back. Scouts should be watching that guy if they're not already.
Call us about Aiden Gibson.
Aiden Gibson. He's going to be the real deal soon. They're good.
Yeah.
They're very good. We saw them in a shootout with Mountain View earlier this year. Powdersville playing really good football. They're playing their best football of the year. We know how well they're coached with Coach Muster there. They've got some experience on that football team as well. This will be a good game, and this is going to be dictated by how well Woodruff plays. If Woodruff plays well, if they play it to their standard, how they should play, I think they win the game by 7 to 10 points. If they don't, it's going to be oh boy, buckle up. This could be a last possession type game. Powdersville can win this if they get they win the turnover battle. If Woodruff has too many penalties, that they make, just a couple bad mistakes, that's going to be enough for Powdersville to win this game as good as they're playing. I still like Woodruff to win. Everything points to Woodruff winning this game because of their talent, their resume for the entire year. But last week's scary. Yeah. Pendleton's a good ball club. Pendleton's a good team. They have not played great this year, and they were in a dogfight with the Bulldogs all game Friday. So they got to be better.
Yeah.
I think for Woodruff, you got to say, all right, that game's behind us now.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to replicate that again. But with high school football, teenagers, man, you never know.
In the playoffs too, John, at this level, you very rarely are going to just blow out and roll all your games in the playoffs. You're going to have a close one at some point. Maybe that's Woodruff right there. But last week for the Wolverines, quarterback TJ Morris, 12 for 19, 176, 2 touchdowns. Running back Aiden Gibson, 20 carries for 108 and 2 touchdowns. He's averaging $145 per game, 26 total touchdowns this season for the young sophomore there. Receivers Corey Moats and Hunter West. Tight end Cam Taylor. He's a 6'5" target, 8 touchdowns on the season there. Defensively, Sean Graybill, Trayvon Lee had 12 tackles. Trey Rogers had 8 tackles at TFL. Jordan Hood had 8 tackles, 2 TFLs for Coach Sloan there. On the Powdersville side, quarterback Kagan Reed, a young kid that has really come along as the season has progressed there for them. Receiver Elijah Huggins, he is an athlete, a playmaker out wide, along with Joshawn Knuckles. He plays at DB and receiver spot, same as Brendan Works for them. Linebackers Brock Holiday and Javi Mills. Tavius Williams is coming as a playmaker as well for them. I'm assuming Kenda Thomas. I'm not sure. Brother, cousin, I don't know. I need to check on that, but he has been a good player lately as well. And I think the key for Powdersville earlier in the year, they started off 0-3. They started leaning a little bit more on the run game, get the offensive line, which they have a solid offensive line. I love the Wardell kid. I know Derek's probably in here. I love his son playing that tackle spot. He's a really good player for them. They lean more on the run, let the QB kind of come along slowly, and have played good football. And you know, Powdersville, a program that, like I said, has a great coach, Coach Muster, same as Woodruff does, Coach Sloan. The one thing about Woodruff that has worried me a little bit this year, John, is the defense. Like, there's been a couple games, you know, Clinton, MVP, you know, even last week, with what they did with Pendleton, where they've given up some big numbers. And that worries me because Powdersville is a team that they can score the football. So this could be and should be, I think, a very close ball game. I
think this is going to be another one. I feel like a lot this year, maybe me, have said, hey, this is going to be a defensive game. This is going to be a low scoring game. I think this is going to be a really high scoring game. This could be a really exciting back and forth ball game with two very potent offenses. And
don't forget, even though Woodruff has a better record, they're playing at Powdersville because Powdersville won their region. You know, Woodruff finished second in there. So this one certainly, I mean, I guess you could still say it will be an upset if the 1 seed wins, which I don't know if you – I think Powdersville has a really good chance to win this football game. I really do. And I'm very high on Woodruff. I've had Woodruff high all year too. But I think the Patriots are playing good football, man. It's similar to me, you know, last year we talked about, or last week with one of the games where I said, you know, they're good for Woodruff is as good as anybody in 3A probably. But are they playing to that level right now? And that's what the key is. So I think Powdersville has a real shot. I don't know if I want to pick on to let Jerel make his pick first. And I'll come back to me. Jerel, who do you like in this one? I think this may be my, you know, favorite or second favorite game on the board this week.
Yeah, this one's tough, man. It's like the team in Woodruff that has been great all year. From week 0 on, they have the one blemish against MVP, but that's a 2-point ball game. I mean, that's right there. And then you see this Powdersville team has just really gotten hot down the stretch. I mean, they've played fantastic. And then you're talking about a coach and Coach Muster who knows how to get it done. I mean, he's taken a team to a state title, you know, appearance. So it's really tough, man. And I really didn't consider that this game's being played in Powdersville. So you have to give, you know, that home field advantage to them. I'm going to stick with Woodruff. I've been high on these guys all year. Like you mentioned, their best, I think, is some of the best football that we see regardless of classification, especially on the offensive side, man. Just love Gibson, Morris, Moats, all those guys, the way that they can distribute the ball. So love the way Coach Sloan has really gotten this program going and really schemed up that offense. So I'm excited about Woodruff. I think they're going to win it, but it's going to be a whale of a football game here.
Make your pick programs now. I expect a lot from in the next couple of years. I think these two coaches do a fantastic job in two growing communities as well. Woodruff's getting bigger every day, same as Powdersville. I know Powdersville's a little bit landlocked, kind of getting stuck there, but there's a lot of people moving into that area. So going to be a lot of fun watching these two programs next couple of years. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to take Powdersville at home. I think they win this game, a close one, but I think this is a really good 3A matchup. Comments from the chat here, Jerel, on this ball game. Chris says, seems like since the MVP game, Woodruff has not been the same. You know, that they haven't played, you know, a super good team since then. So maybe they haven't had to be at their best. Maybe that's it. I don't know. He likes Woodruff by 3.
Let's see that.
Nathan says, Powdersville 2 comparative games, Woodruff, Broome, and Pendleton. Those games, Powdersville won larger margins. Yeah, you know, and I don't love the transitive property there, Nathan, but I mean, it does stand for something, right? It does mean something. I think it should be a great game. I think Powdersville close will be good. Derek, let's go, Peaville. I know who you're pulling for, my man. I know you'll be there on Friday night for sure. Tanya says penalties kill us. And that's big, Tanya. You know, you can't have that in the playoffs. You know, if you get one big setback and that could change a drive, change the outcome of a whole game there. So got to clean that up here in the postseason. Tank says Powdersville with a last-second score.
We've seen that before.
Yes, we have. Travis says Powdersville by 7. Powdersville by 7, says Heather as well.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of Powdersville love here, so you're
it'll
not
be
going
an
out on a
upset.
limb there.
Maybe not.
I think it'd be an upset too, John.
A lot of love for the Pats.
Love that. Rogers says the dark side defense difference maker in 3A MVP all the way. One of the favorites for sure, John. And, winning that game over Woodruff put MVP on the good side of the bracket where you don't have to meet BHP until that last game of the upper state. So
you don't have to go on the road to Powdersville.
Yes, that too. Jim said, get into football weather now. Certainly is, Jim. A little bit chillier now. Should be a fun atmosphere on Friday all across the state.
Let's get to the next game, guys.
Our 4th CONA game of the week. The Chester Cyclones at 5-5, a team that John and I saw beat Strom Thurmond last week, traveling to Wilder Stadium to take on the Clinton Red Devils at 8-2. These two teams were in a region together last year, John, in 3A. Clinton beat them 14-6. We mentioned last week's game. Chester 44-23 over Strom Thurmond. 31 points on offense, 16 points on defense. Quarterback Trooper Taylor, 15 for 21, 161 on a touchdown pass, 40 yards rushing as well. Running back, the Taylor kid had a touchdown, and then Caleb Feaster, 5 carries for 176, 3 touchdowns. He is a big play threat. Receivers Pendergrass and Zeke Evans. Defensively, Terry Radford. Defensive end, outside linebacker. Last week, 12 tackles, a TFL, a sack. He's unblockable. For the season now, 105 tackles, 26 TFLs, 16 sacks. You got to have him accounted for every single play. Demarion Baxley, Tamari Caldwell, Zai Whitlock, Feaster, and Evans also played well on the defensive side. For Clinton, they rolled Pillion 56-0, averaging 42 on offense, 21 on defense. Quarterback Tyshawn Richardson is also a dual threat, 110 pass yards, a touchdown, 59 rush yards as well. Running back Javen Cook has 1,200 yards on the season, 17 TDs. Devin Swindler is a receiving threat. Defensively, Luke Young, big game last week, 10 tackles, a TFL. Cason Copeland, 9 tackles with 2 TFLs. Also, Chris Boyd and Brett Young are big players on that side of the football. This is a tough game for me because I feel like, we look at Chester's record. They're 5-5, had a lot of weird games in the middle of the season. But you almost got to throw it out because, like Coach Floyd told us, they're finally healthy again. Haven't been healthy since like the first of the season. So I don't really know what to make of this Chester team, but what I saw Friday night was pretty dang good.
Yeah, it was very impressive. You and I both picked Strom Thurmond to win that game. The way that they battled against Batesburg-Leesville, I say battled, outplayed Batesburg-Leesville, their final regular season game. I thought the defense would be really good. I thought it was going to be a defensive game, low scoring, low scoring affair. But Chester, mainly with Feaster, showed off how fast that guy is. There were, and also you got to give credit to the offensive line. Chester offensive line was opening up some big holes. They weren't pitching the ball and run out and trying to beat you to the corner and going down the sidelines. They were running it right up the middle, had some big holes, and Feaster was fast enough to just turn on the jets, and it was game over. He had, I think it was a 79-yard touchdown run, a 56-yard touchdown run, maybe a 20-yarder, 30-yarder. They're all big plays, big chunk plays. Clinton, on the other hand, I think maybe Chester, there's not a ton of film on them being completely healthy.
That's true.
Now
true.
there is.
Yeah.
And Clinton knows, hey, you got to play good up front. And that's any game, right? You got to play good up front. You can't let Feaster get holes on you because you're going to run to yourself. You're going to have a track meet on your hands. If that's the case, Chester's got a lot of experience. They're healthy now. They're well coached. The biggest thing is they got a ton of momentum and a ton of confidence going into this game. I think they would beat just about anybody in 2A on Friday, except for maybe Clinton and maybe Fairfield Central. Maybe Batesburg, maybe. I think Clinton at home, they're a good team. They've been good all year. And as good as Clinton is as a program, I feel like this is a program that's got a bigger chip on their shoulder than anybody else around that's a contender. Because they have not been healthy the last few years. And I know they feel like, man, we probably have let a few trips to state championship get away from us just because of injuries. They are in a really good position. I think they take advantage Friday. I think this is a monumental second round game. I think Clinton's a little bit better. You look at their 2 losses and they're against two really good teams,
Yep.
and Woodruff and Daniel.
Yep.
They're not scared to play anybody. They're not gonna, they're not gonna be intimidated by anybody. They're at home. They're gonna have a great crowd, great atmosphere. I think the Red Devils win this one, but this is gonna be a really fun, exciting game. I think this is another game we might see a little bit of a shootout in.
Yeah. Talk about two good coaches. Coach Floyd at Chester and Coach Fountain at Clinton are, two of the best around, no doubt about it. The key for me, John, we saw it on Friday, the big plays for Chester, can you limit those if you're Coach Campbell in that defense there? Because from watching the game, I don't think Chester is cut out to have long drives. Like I think if they have to make a 8 to 10 to 12 play drive, they're going to do something that's going to back them up, either a penalty or maybe a loss in the backfield, whatever it is. And that's true for a lot of high school teams. A lot of them are not cut out to drive at long distances. But I think Clinton, if they can limit those big runs from Feaster, keep him somewhat contained, don't let Zeke Evans get over your head on a rollout pass from Floyd, you got a real chance if you make them drive it. I think you can kind of keep them bottled up a little bit there. On the flip side, the weakness I saw for Chester was the secondary. They had a really tough time covering the guys at Strom Thurmond.
Yeah.
And that's a Thurmond team that they do throw the ball, but that's probably not what they want to do the most. Like they would rather run it, with the sweeps and the counter stuff. They don't want to throw it a whole lot, but they did because they were able to make completions.
Yeah.
And Clinton, another team that doesn't want to throw it much. But if you do want to throw it in the game, this might be the game to break it out, because I think there were some holes in that secondary, felt like, last Friday night.
Yeah, certainly some opportunities if you can be disciplined on your side of the football, have your timing right between your quarterback and your receivers. You can do some damage if that secondary plays like they did Friday. Obviously, Coach Taylor or Coach Floyd's going to have them coached up. They saw the same thing that we saw Friday, so I'm sure they'll be expecting that from Clinton.
Maybe some adjustments in the secondary. We'll see how that shakes out.
And for as much as we're saying, hey, they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that on defense, they outscored Chester outscored Strom Thurmond 30-7 in that second half.
Yes.
I mean, they buckled down defensively as well in that second half, and they did their job. And it starts up front with Radford.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big time disruptor, and having a guy like that, you can have a little bit of leeway in your secondary, because chances are your quarterback's not going to have all day to sit back there and find the open guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say, last week I was wrong about Chester. I picked Strom Thurmond to win. Completely blew that one.
They blew him out.
I'm going to pick Clinton again. I'm probably going to be wrong again. We'll see. I'm going to route the Red Devils at home. The Chester folks, I'm sure they'll come for me. That's okay. Fine. But maybe they just use it as motivation. Lots of great folks down there at Chester for sure. So hopefully they don't hate us too much. But I'm going to go Clinton at home. I think it's a big piece. At home, John. At home, Wilder Stadium. I like the Red Devils to win this one. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on this massive 2A matchup?
Man, a lot to analyze here. This one's been fun to hear you guys talk about. It's going to be tough, because Chester, you got to just think about the confidence boost they have after last week in that win there, going in there. They got to feel, pretty good about themselves. I like Clinton in this game, though, just because they've just been more consistent all year. I know that Chester's dealt with injuries, and I think Chester's as talented as this Clinton team is. But you mentioned them playing at home, the consistency this year. I like the fact that they can also throw the ball as well. So I'm really going with the Red Devils. I think it's going to be like a 3-point, 1-score type game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like we saw last week with them playing Thurmond and obviously Clinton. But I like Clinton in this one. Should be a will of a football game. Should be a hostile environment down there at Wilder Stadium too.
Yeah, physical game too. I think it'll be a lot of hard hits on Friday night in that one. Comments from the chat. Jerel. Andrew says Clinton Red Devils. Zach says Devil Nation's here. You did not miss it, Zach. You got here just in time, my man. Who can win the front seven matchup? For sure. Yeah. And that was it's been kind of a bugaboo for Chester as their O-line played well last week. We'll see how that shakes out. And then obviously for Clinton, can you block Terry Radford? Heather says, hoping it's Clinton, I think Chester pulls it off. Chester by 2, says Chris. Brandon says Clinton also played Newberry this year, probably our best win. Yeah, Newberry's a good team. They're still playing now in the 3A playoffs, so won that region there. Clinton, both teams against Daniel. Nathan says Clinton's more disciplined. Okay. That's certainly going to be a big factor in a playoff game. Can't have those dumb penalties. Clinton's Richardson having a great season. Yes, he is. And he's a dual threat guy too, man, at the quarterback spot. He is a tough kid to game plan for. Great point, Heather. Zach says Chester does kick PATs. I'll go for 2. Also, a good point there. Yeah. They do not kick the extra point, man. They like going for 2, and that could be a game changer on Friday if you can figure out a way to stop a couple of those. It puts you in a good spot for sure.
And they did a really good job with it. They didn't run every time. They didn't throw every time. That a couple of times they ran left, a couple of times they ran right. Sometimes they put the ball in the air.
Some play action stuff out of it. Yeah.
They're dangerous over there.
Seems to be going back and forth in the chat, but let's go to the next game, guys.
Our 5th CONA game of the week, our SCISA game of the week, a 2A state title matchup between Dee Academy and Bethesda. The Golden Eagles 11-0, Bethesda 9-3. This game is down at Charleston Southern, John. Last week, PD defeated Greenwood Christian 69-33, averaging 43 on offense, 17 on defense. Colby Richardson 9 for 15, 234 touchdowns, 42 rushing yards as well. Tristan Heckman 10 for 206 on the ground, 3 touchdowns, and a kickoff return. Also 11 tackles, 2 TFLs. They're getting it done all over the place for the Golden Eagles. Receiver Miles Trussell, 3 for 62 and a touchdown. Jamison Rogers, 4 for 89 and a touchdown. Judson Martin, 9 tackles. Ryan Small, Noah Post, and Chandler Jones, also contributors on the defensive side. Bethesda came back from a 21-8 halftime deficit to defeat Calhoun 38-21. That's 30-0 second half there, John. 30-0 if you can't do that math. Quarterback freshman Jordan Turner, 9 for 16, 211, 3 touchdowns. Running back Asir Best, 18 for 81. Riley Wesley catches 4 balls for 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also had a punt return and a kickoff return touchdown last week. Christian Vaughn, 5 for 119 and a touchdown. Defensively, Isaiah Reynolds, 7 tackles, a TFL, and a sack. Jordan Cheever, a good player for them as well. I do want to bring Jerel in here too, because Jerel, this is the team that we saw this game a couple weeks back. Some highlights from that PD Bethesda game from a couple weeks ago. A 25-22 win for the Golden Eagles. Really tight matchup there. What do you think happens this week? Jerel, are you popping me out here, Jerel? What's going on?
My computer's spazzing out right now. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Trying to get these highlights rolling from that win. Okay, Jerel, let's get the highlights rolling.
Oh, are you rolling? Are you rolling the highlights? Go ahead.
I'm rolling the highlights. Yeah. Trying to roll the highlights. There we go. From that big win for the Golden Eagles. The key in that first matchup was PD wore them down the second half. I mean, they ran for 200+ yards second half. What can be changed in a 3-week period here that can really help Bethesda overcome that, or do you see more of a similar script this time around?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what Coach Drew is gonna his game plan is gonna be. Is do you start off run heavy because that was so effective for you in the second half of that football game, or do you try to throw the ball and loosen them up, something like that? Obviously they have Bethesda has some big guys on the offensive or the defense and offensive line as well. So you want to try to tire them out, but I'm not really sure what the game plan is because, it's tough. They played each other, just a short time ago. So
yeah,
it's going to be very interesting to keep up with, but we just saw this. I mean, we just saw the Bluffton May River, them playing back-to-back weeks and that game flipped. So it's going to be very interesting, dynamic to see that these two teams have played in such a short span of time.
Yeah, John, who do you like in this one? I think two teams that can light it up offensively if they need to. We can also play some lockdown defense when they have to as well.
Yeah, I like PD stay undefeated. It's when you can run the ball on somebody, that is a lot of times you're more physical, you're stronger, you're more dominant up front.
Mm-hmm.
And that is schematically, there's not a ton you can do about that. If the other guy on the other side is bigger and stronger, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Yeah.
And if PD can stay disciplined,
mm-hmm.
not turn the ball over, I think they win this football game. Should be another good game, but I like PD.
Yeah, a 3-point game the first time around. That was, at the lawn too. This is a neutral site this time down at Charleston. So this game is at 3:30 on Saturday. I like the Golden Eagles as well. I think just too much firepower on offense. If you want to throw it to Trussell and Rogers, you can do that. If you want to run it with Heckman and Richardson, you can do that as well. I think they're too multiple up front. The key, I think, for the Golden Eagles is don't let Bethesda hit big pass plays on you. I think that's one of their keys. If they might try to go deep a lot, you can't let those guys over your head. That's the best chance for the Blazers. But I think PD wins this ball game. I think they win the state title on Saturday down at Charleston Southern. Jerel, any other thoughts from you or the chat before we roll into the next portion of the program?
That's one thing I do want to talk about Bethesda. I like PD to win this game. I think they're gonna, have their dream season, magical season. I think they crown it here. But I was impressed with the athletes at Bethesda to see if they can get going early again, but kind of sustain that. It looks like they were hitting some big plays earlier, but they were missing those in the second half. Will they be able to hit on some of those big plays and keep this game tight? I think that 3-point margin of the game that we saw is a little bit misleading. It really wasn't that close. But if Bethesda is able to, hit some of those downfield passes that they missed in the second half, I think we're going to see a whale of a football game too.
Perfect. Let's shout out some friends of the program out quick before we start looking at the rest of the statewide slate.
A single moment can ignite a passion. With every play, a spirit of teamwork is forged, and determination evolves into success. Life is the ultimate team sport, and a trusted teammate makes all the difference. Our team at Founders Federal Credit Union works hard every day to offer the financial tools you need, backed by unrivaled member service. Relax, you're with Founders.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Myrtle's Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. John, let's take a look. Let's go back to the regularly scheduled programming this week. Start with 5A. Let's go Division I, work our way down. As always, folks, if you missed the game of the week, you can go back and check that out when we get done here. It will be on Facebook and YouTube forever. And then if you want to ask about a team, talk about a team, feel free to shoot that out in the chat. Love to have you guys' thoughts on this 5A all the way down statewide slate here.
Yeah, starting in the lower state, we'll see Fort Dorchester go to Somerville.
I think this is Somerville's last game, too. Similar to that Bluff to May River. I think they played 2 weeks ago, smoked them. Somerville got a bye last week. They play them again this week. Fort D, though, I will say, nice win last week over Stratford. Coach Lorenzano, didn't have a Fort Dorchester level season this year, I would say, but had to replace a lot of pieces there. And the Patriots, I think next year, are a team to look out for. Hats off to him for winning that first round game. I think Somerville ends their season again, or ends Fort Dorchester's season this Friday.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll see Ridgeview go on the road to Cane Bay.
Can Cane Bay continue their hot streak from 0-7 to region champs? I don't know what to make of that team, man. I really don't.
I think the Blazers are going to be too much. That is a very dynamic offense, very talented group. We'll see Carolina Forest host James Island.
James Island on defense allowing less than 8 points per game. Very, very impressive. Carolina Forest, Jaron Fox, Chris Livingston have combined for over 2,000 rushing yards, 31 touchdowns. Who can enforce their will better in this one here, John? I think James Island has a real chance because you'll hear this is a theme of my comments tonight. I think that Beach region may have been a little bit down this year.
Yeah.
I think the Trojans have a real shot to go on the road and win this one.
I think it would be a little bit of an upset. I think Carolina Forest will win the game, but I think James Island is going to make this a very, very stressful evening. Great defense, as always. Chris thinks it's going to be James Island by a landslide. Okay.
Wow.
I don't know if they have the offense.
I was going to say, I don't think a score to make it a land.
Maybe it's not as good as we're
here.
As they played out to be.
Don't worry about it, Jerel. We're in here.
All right. Got you guys back up.
On the bottom side of the lower state bracket, Ashley Ridge will travel to Sumter.
A game we saw last year we thought was going to be close, and Sumter blew the doors off of those guys. I do think it will be a good test for the Gamecocks. That Ashley Ridge offense has played really well with Trevor Kalick and Jaden Acosta and Jaden Bam DeWeese out wide. But Sumter's defense, man, with Burson and Thompson Durant and Anthony Addison, the SC commit, are really, really loaded on that side of football. And the offense this year is matched as well. That run game with Fortune and Peoples is solid. So I think Sumter continues to roll.
I think so too. I think Ashley Ridge will keep it a little bit closer than they did last year, but Sumter's going to control this one. On the upper state side of the bracket, we'll see Burns going into Spartanburg. A Burns team that looked really good last week, and a Spartanburg team that was off but lost to Gaffney.
Yeah,
in their last game.
And I think that's probably a good thing for to have that week off. I mean, that was a tough way they lost that football game, man. They hammered this Burns team 58-14 a couple weeks ago. Burns does have running back Trey Segura back for the Rebels, and he is a key piece. He had a big game along with Landrum last week down at Presbyterian. I think this one is a closer margin this time, but I still think the Vikings at home, too much firepower. I love what they're doing with Lynch at the running back spot. Coach Hodges' bunch is rolling right now.
Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty low-scoring game. I expect Spartanburg to bounce back and win this one. Bounce back, I say, from the Gaffney loss 2 weeks ago. Clover, they will travel to JL Man. River Bluff will be on the road against Rock Hill.
That's a Thursday night game. With Rock Hill and Northwestern both hosting, I believe the higher seed gets the pick if they want to play on Thursday or Friday. I see Northwestern pick Friday. Rock Hill is going to host on Thursday against Clover there, against River Bluff. An interesting game here, for River Bluff. They've got a really solid defense. They've lost 2 games this year, Irmo and Dutch Fork, and that's it. Do they have a plan for that speedy Rock Hill offense with Clark and Watkins and Ratley and those guys? And then on the flip side, what's Rock Hill's plan for Stephen Collier, the ECU committed tight end receiver there? He's a stud for the Gators. I think River Bluff has a good chance to go on the road and win this game.
I think they do too. I don't know enough about Rock Hill from a complete team perspective. I know they got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, but I feel like I could see River Bluff winning this one on the road. And then closing out Division 1 5A, Boiling Springs will travel to Dutch Fork after their very impressive shutout win to me over Dorman last week. Boiling Springs, good team. They're not Dutch Fork.
Very big win last week for them. And I think the key is I think they've got a lot of the pieces are good enough for Boiling Springs to compete with Dutch Fork. I think they really are. I'm worried about the offensive line because I think that Dutch Fork D-line can get after you, man. They got some playmakers up front. You got Josh Smith going off the edge as well. You got to hold up front, and I don't know if Boiling Springs has the guys up front to do that. I think Dutch Fork wins at home on Friday.
I think so too.
Anything else? Is that it for Division? Oh, that's all for Division 1. Sorry. I forget. Yeah, we got 2 divisions now. Jerel, thoughts from you on Division 1 or from the chat on Division 1 before we look down to the D2 slate?
Throw you some comments up there, guys.
Big Cross. Tanisha, good having you. Cross is rolling right now. Looking forward to their big matchup. Bradley, good to have you in here. Appreciate you as always, my man. Doing well. Hope you are too. Ryan says Gaffney. We'll get to that game here in a minute, Ryan. They've got a big one this week. Curtis says, run up for Carolina Force is the beast. Yeah, Jaron Fox, one of our players of the week, has had a great season for Coach Morris down there.
Let's go to Division 2, guys.
Division 2 5A now, John.
We'll start in Rock Hill. Northwestern hosting Indian Land.
I feel bad because I feel like we have not talked enough about Northwestern this year, but it's just because they blow everybody out. Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, they are so good, man, with Polk and Gordon Miles and Watkins and Vance and all those guys there. So good. Massey on defense as well for Coach Walford. They're a really good football team, man. We need to show them some more love because they are really good.
Yeah, and I think we'll have a few weeks to do that.
Yeah,
I think they'll have their time. We'll see Hillcrest go down to Greenwood.
An interesting game here. Greenwood won this one 38-16. I think 3 weeks ago now. Lots of change since then. The Rams can interest you in this, John. Quarterback Caleb Sutton, now playing receiver. Quarterback Jackson Free stepping in, slinging the rock around. Changes some things here for the Rams. Upset alert for the Eagles, possibly. I'm not calling it, but do you think they have a chance to make this one closer?
Make the call. Come on. You want to make the call? Do it.
I think Greenwood beats him again. I think, I expected Hillcrest to win the first matchup. They didn't. It wasn't really all that close. I think Greenwood wins.
I do have another stat though that helps you out if you want to flip on this.
Okay, all right.
Per our friend Jeff Smalk, in this series, the road team has won 5 in a row.
Sticking with it.
I'm going with the Rams. I'm going with the Rams. Jackson Free, touchdown pass to Caleb Sutton to win the game. How about that?
They might
heard it here, folks.
They may need it.
Should be a fun game, and those two always have good matchups. And it'll be a good one down there at the BAB.
Should be a fun
one of the best stadiums in the state, no doubt about it.
Yes, one of my favorite. TL Hanna, they'll host Catawba Ridge.
Catawba Ridge, a team I like a lot. I do worry they gave up 248 on the ground to Zeke Belcher at Woodmont last week, and you don't want to get ran on when you're about to play TL Hanna. That's what the Yellow Jackets do. I think they win this game. Got a comment. TL Hanna's a sneaky team. They lost to West Side and lost to Greenwood. Yeah, TL Hanna's good, man. They have that offense is always tough to prepare for sure. They got some playmakers there with Patterson and Cunningham that can get it done. And
their quarterback's playing very well too. Yep. I think they win this one Friday. I don't think Catawba Ridge had the defense to be able to slow them down enough. And then on the final game in the upper state side, we'll see Riverside travel to the reservation to play Gaffney. I think Gaffney is going to do whatever they want.
Yeah, this was close a couple weeks ago. Like a very tight ball game to late, but a lot's changed in this game too. Jaden McDowell is now back for Gaffney, getting healthier and healthier. Had another week off last week to kind of be a bigger part. But for Riverside, they have moved Kentucky commit Mikkel Skinner to all over the field. The tight end receiver last week played running back. I believe he ran for 4 touchdowns. Also played some defensive end, had a lot of key pressures for them. I think had a sack as well. Of course, catching passes out wide. But I think to beat Gaffney, you're going to have to do more than just run the ball. You're going to need a big game from Gideon Merribb, the quarterback there, the young gunslinger. I think Gaffney at home a little too much there. Maybe a similar scoreline a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I think Riverside's probably playing a little bit better because they're getting Skinner a little more involved. But I think Gaffney, man, that win over Spartanburg showed a lot to me. That way they came back and won that ball game. That was very impressive. I think Gaffney is kind of getting right now at the right time.
And I think the week off really helps them as well to get them even more healthier. And they've got a whole film of what they needed to correct from the first Riverside game. I think Gaffney will be ready to go Friday.
Yep.
Switching over to the lower state side of the bracket, we'll see Irmo hosting Chapin.
A team that Irmo already beat pretty handily. Region game there, so I think the Yellow Jackets roll again.
I think they did. Yep. North Myrtle Beach on the road against West Florence.
Two teams that don't score a whole lot, honestly. The Chiefs, Drew Prince, you got to run the ball. Got to stick with running the ball. Can't get away from. Got to run the ball all night long. West Florence, I like that bunch, man. They're tough. They're physical. I think they're going to have a good chance to win at home.
Yeah, I like them at home as well. We'll see Westwood on the road against Berkeley. And our HTC game of the week, White Knoll will be traveling to the Grand Strand to play Myrtle Beach.
White Knoll 6-4, Myrtle Beach 6-5. I may have that backwards actually, but either way, both got 6 wins. White Knoll, they beat Lugoff Elgin 41-18 last week. Quarterback Landon Sharp, $160 on the ground on a touchdown, 200+ pass yards, 2 more touchdowns. Running back Tyon Fanning, 143 in a TD. Shaquez Montgomery, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Caleb and Devin Geronimo, your playmakers, out wide for them. The Seahawks had a bye last week, which they needed to get healthy. Gibson Goodrow was out a couple weeks ago. I think he's back now. Running back Michael Cohen and Antonio Brown there. Receivers Amari Brown and John Simmons. Defensively led by Brown and Campbell. I said this earlier. I think that Beach region was a little bit down this year. I think White Knoll, I picked them last week as a potential sleeper to win a couple games. They're healthy now with Sharp back. I think the Wolverines, the Timberwolves, not the Wolverines. I think the Timberwolves can go on the road and win this game. You remember, John, this team was a lower state champ last year. I mean, they won the region over Dutch Fork, and they went all the way to the state title game. Had a really solid season. They've lost 3 games by 3 points or less this year. A lot of kind of a little bit snake bitten there. I think White Knoll, though, can win this game on the road.
I think they will. I think White Knoll wins probably by 10 points or more. Mm-hmm. I think they're a really good team. They let a couple plays get away from them in that Lugoff Elgin game, but I think they knew, hey, we're going to win this game probably pretty comfortable. So White Knoll, I think they're better. The toughest part of this game might be making that road trip to Myrtle Beach, but I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be ready to go.
Jerel, what do you like in this HTC Hometown Connection game of the week? HTC here to connect. We will always pick a game from Marion County, Georgetown County, or Horry County for that. Jerel, who do you like in this one? What are your thoughts on this one?
I like White Knoll in this game. I think they're playing well down the stretch. They had a tough schedule this year, and you got to think about coming off last season. They had a magical year, so maybe it lost some key pieces as well, from that, especially that defense from last season. So I think they're starting to hit their stride. They've got some senior leadership, some guys that have been through some battles. So I like them to win this game. Myrtle Beach, I don't think this is your classic, Myrtle Beach team this year, but I think they've had a pretty decent season. It just unfortunately comes to an end. I think White Knoll's a little bit better.
Once again, our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week. White Knoll, the Timberwolves, traveling to take on the Myrtle Beach Seahawks. HTC here to connect. Appreciate our friends over there. Jerel, any other comments from the chat on 5A Division II or from you before we move down to the 4A ranks? Tank says he's got White Knoll as well. Curtis says White Knoll by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That sounds, yeah, I think so as well.
Glad y'all are sitting down for this one.
Ooh.
Dwayne says Ashley Ridge Sumter. Okay, hey, Ashley Ridge has the firepower on offense like they do with DeWeese and Kalick and Acosta. They can score some points. Sumter's really good, man. It's going to be tough to do it, but that's the type of team that can make some things happen. I still think Sumter at home probably too much, though.
If Ashley Ridge can stop the run, it's possible.
Spell check got this one.
Chris says Javon Gilmore says groove back, starts to play playoff swagger back. Yes, he played a lot better against Spartanburg the second half especially, and this is a good time to start finding it, right,
Yeah.
Chris? A good time to get hot.
I think against that Riverside defense, he'll have some luck.
Irmo says Bryant or Jesse Bryant. Yep, I agree, man. Irmo is such a good football team, and I think they beat Chapin pretty handily again this week.
Let's go down to 4A, guys.
The 4A ranks now, John.
Yeah, starting in the lower state. Darlington on the road against Hartsville. We'll see South Florence hosting Hilton Head. Gilbert will
I do want
travel
to
Bishop
say,
England.
Darlington Hartsville, hats off Darlington, one of our teams of the week. I mean, they won a playoff game. I know to play a rivalry again, here when Hartsville, a team that beat them pretty handily earlier in the year. Maybe it's close to this time. I don't know. I think Hartsville, I think the Red Fox is too much firepower, of course, but great for Coach Johnson and the boys there to get that win and get to play on the second weekend of playoffs. But I think Hartsville wins that game.
Yeah, I mean, a good season for Darlington, and last week's playoff win was just gravy on top of it all. And hey, for Darlington, empty out everything you got again.
Playing with house money, you are.
Yeah. Run out some trick plays, go for it on 4th down. Nobody expects you to win this game. And hey, maybe you get lucky. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. As I mentioned, Gilbert will be on the road against Bishop England. We'll see one of our CONA games of the week here. North Augusta hosting May River.
Mm-hmm.
On the upper state side of the bracket, West Side will host AC Florida, a hot AC Florida team, but West Side I think is a lot better in this one.
Yeah, I agree. AC Florida, good game on the ground last week from Kelson. Got it done for them there. West Side though, man, they just put up points in bunches. I think I saw where Bomar had a pick six, a receiving touchdown, and I think a punt return touchdown all in the first quarter last week. What they can do with him and Weaver and Richardson and Paul and just Evans and obviously Cutter Woods, commanding the ship there, man. They are so good on offense. The defense has played great too. I think they get another big win over AC Flora.
And they have very good special teams as well.
Yes, they do.
That return game is very dangerous.
Good point. Money Weaver's back. Win big, no special team score included. I feel like they score on special teams every week. I mean, I needed to go track that. Like they've got a chance they may have returned a kick or punt every game.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the BHP game and they had Weaver had a punt return for a touchdown. Yeah. You also had an interception. I don't know if you took that one back to the house or not, but did have a punt return.
Electric. They were electric.
Wren, they will play host to Camden.
Alexa stop.
Has some commentary here.
Wren,
one of those nights, guys. One of those.
Yeah,
nights.
Alexa's a big Wren fan.
Wren's a dangerous team. I think they are really good. Bagwell, the quarterback, ran for 200+ last week. Reese Price, of course, is the stud running back for them. They're getting healthy on defense with Sanders back and a Catalan back as well. They're a good football team for Coach Freight right there. Camden, solid as well. I think for them, you're going to need some explosive plays out of, Krim or Thompson. You're going to need some kind of big touchdown to win this one. I think Wren a little too much there at home.
Yeah, I think Camden's I feel like they lost their identity a little bit toward the back half of the season. They're still a really good, really talented team. I like Wren at home. I think that I like that Wren defense. I think Camden's going to have a hard time scoring a lot of points against Wren. I think it's a low scoring game, but I think Wren finds a way to win this one. We'll see Greer on the road against South Point.
Two teams that have some history in South Point. Short time a lot. They play some good ball games for sure. Greer, I mean, great win over Fountain Inn. Probably lucky to win that game the way it went there. But great job coming back and getting that dub. There were Nick Holmes at running back, kind of leading the way. South Point, I think, dropped a 77 burger. I believe it was last week. They're impressive. I think they roll again over at the Corral this week.
Yeah, I think so. South Point's a very, very tough group. Talk about another tough group here. On the bottom side of the bracket, Daniel hosting Richland Northeast. I saw Nathan made a comment. This could be the best quarterback matchup of the week. And that is certainly could be the case. I've been all over the Will Wilson train all year. They look better last week. Did not have a good second half. Let's Seneca come back in that second half. They won 22-20. But all the tools are there for Richland Northeast to be very dynamic, to be very good. Daniel is just too complete of a team. Richland Northeast is good, but they've been a little inconsistent. Their defense is good. Obviously, Will Wilson, a quarterback, is a big-time threat. But Daniel, they're just more consistent. I think Daniel wins this game. But this could be an exciting ball game. I think R&E is dynamic enough on offense to still be able to score. Yeah,
Wilson versus Clary is a great matchup for sure. And it was odd last week. They scored 22 in the first half, and they get shut out the second half. I know you play a little more ball control, which is odd. So I do wonder this week, if you're Coach Walt Wilson, do you try to just get into a shootout? Like, hey, we're going to try to score 40+ and just hope we have the ball last. Or is it, hey, a little more run heavy with Wilson kind of running it, some more QB power, and just really milking the clock, limited possessions? I don't know what your thought is on that one. I mean, I think I'd probably try to just light it up. I think is your best bet because Daniel's good enough on defense. So if you go ball control, at some point they're going to stop you on that drive. You're not going to score. I think you got to try to light it up and go, put some highlights out there.
I do too. I think you've got, as good as Daniel is, R&E, you've got the best player probably on the football field, and Will Wilson. Let him open it up. Let him be the guy. Let him, be the reason if you win this game. Let him be that reason for throwing the ball, running the ball, getting outside. And also, we've seen Daniel in the state championship time after time after again. Typically, they're playing Camden, and what happens? It turns into a shootout, and Camden's just not equipped, or whoever they play is just not equipped to play that kind of game. Daniel's finding guys over the over the top, throwing deep balls. If you're R&E, I say, hey, we'll welcome that. We'll try to match you score for score and get aggressive. I don't think anyone outside of Richland Northeast probably expects them to win this game. Say, hey, they're going to score some big plays. Let's try to get an interception or two and steal a possession. That could be the difference.
Nathan Daniels lost one game last 7 years of scoring 30 more. He thinks ball control is a better option. The reason I say go after is I think, play to your strengths. And I think in offense is your strength. And I think when you've got Wilson, I think, hey, let's go light it up, man. I wouldn't hold anything back.
And Daniel's going to score. They're going to score.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. Either way, it's going to be a tough battle for R&E. It's going to be tough for them because, like I said, Daniel's the more complete team. They can run it, they can throw it, they can play defense. They're a better football team. But when you got a guy like Wilson at quarterback, maybe you can hang around. Jerel, what do you think about that? I mean, I know you're a football guy as well. What do you think would be the good strategy? Hunter says Clary's at 41 total touchdowns and missed the game. He has been awesome this season, the young sophomore there.
Yeah, I honestly just don't see a situation where R&E can win this football game. I really don't. I mean, Daniel's just a complete team. It's one of those situations where it's like maybe R&E has the best player on the field, but you're going against a much better team. So I think that's what it is. So I think Daniel wins this game. What you got?
Jerel, would you be willing to say that if this R&E team beats this Daniel team, you'd eat your hat? Would you be willing to say that?
I would be willing to say it. Let's go ahead and say that. Let's do it.
Okay, we got a hat bet. We got a hat bet. I love it. I love it.
We'll do it. Round two, you shot. It's early. I only get one per playoff, so it's early. So
we'll talk into some more of them. We'll get
some chili on the hat.
I think we're all picking Daniel here to win this one. But it should be a great matchup with Wilson and Clary for sure. Back to the 4A slate.
So that's it for 4A.
Okay.
Or did we? Let me go back. Let me make sure. I don't know. Now that we talked about it so much. Now I'm not sure if I skipped over the lower state. Let me go back and make sure.
I think we talked. Yeah, we talked through all the 4A. We're good. Okay. We're good. Any comments on 4A? Nathan says no.
Fix is in, baby.
Any other comments from the chat on 4A, Jerel? 77-0, South Point won big and wins big again, says Chris. I think you're probably right, man. Greer's not quite to that level right now of the Stallions. 6 straight weeks, especially in score for Westside. I mean, that's impressive. That is very, very impressive. You can't kick to him. You just can't kick to him. Tank says ran too much firepower. Curtis says, Coach Johnson, a great job in Darlington bringing the fire back. Nothing to lose in round 2. Exactly. You're playing with house money. You certainly are, Curtis. Great point there. Love what he has done with that program.
That's all the 4A comments, guys.
Let's look down now at the 3A ranks, John.
Yeah, we'll lead off Mountain View hosting Walhalla. We'll have Crescent going on the road to Christchurch.
Walhalla, great win. I think first win, I think it was like 29 years in the playoffs, something like that. Awesome win for Coach Stone's bunch last week. And what was the second game? Sorry, I was clicking some other stuff there.
Crescent at Christchurch.
Christchurch, look out. They're in a good spot.
And then we'll have, we talked about one of our CONA games of the week earlier. Powdersville hosting Woodruff, big-time game there. Belton Honeypath hosting Palmetto at the bottom of the
another program I'm excited for, Palmetto. Well, Coach Norton's done there, getting a win over Chapman in the playoffs. Great to see. BHP, I think, ends that Mustang run this week, but still awesome to see Palmetto win a playoff game and move on to the next round.
Yeah. Certainly improving that program. On the lower state side, we'll see Walkmall traveling to Oceanside.
Oceanside has played great football all year long. You know, had some tough lumps early on against some bigger competition there, but have turned around and played well. Walkmall, a great win over what we thought was a pretty good Swansea team on Friday. So love to see that. Great win there for that bunch. Sorry, go ahead.
Newberry will host Dillon. This is a big-time ball game. I think Newberry, if they win, it's more of an upset.
Yeah.
But, I know they get to host this one. Dillon was in that really, really tough region.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a really fun game. Might be a game I go to Friday.
Yeah, got some
the action.
highlights.
Here comes
this is when Dillon knocked off Newberry back in the 2014 state title. This is Dillon. I got some stats for you, too. You're going to hear some stats here. Wildcats, first trip to Bulldog Stadium since 2000. They've won 3 in a row against the Bulldogs, including back-to-back 2A state titles, including this game right here. Big games from Johnny Allen and Avery McCall for Coach Jackie Hayes as they won that one. I think this is a fun game, man. Two teams with a lot of athletes. You know, on the Newberry side, Jamel House, Caldwell at quarterback there for them. On the defensive side, you got C.J. Earl as well. You got Bryce Satterwhite on defense for Dillon. Jamarion Fling, Ramon Hamilton at quarterback. You got Zy Robertson out wide. Dan Graves on defense, man. Two teams that spread it out, have some athletes, can run a lot and sling it around. I don't think trying to out-athlete Dillon is the way to beat them, and that's what worries me about Newberry, because I don't know if they can beat Dillon at their own game right now.
I'm calling the home upset. I think Newberry beats them. I think Newberry I think they're an underrated squad this year. I blame myself for not talking about them as much as I should. Dillon is very, very good.
Yeah. No
indictment on Dillon. I think Newberry wins this game. I think we see Dillon make a critical error. I think, be it in special teams, be it penalties. I saw them play at Loris, was not impressed with how they handled their special teams, specifically kick returns.
Yeah.
I think Newberry is going to take advantage of one of these big-time mistakes, and that's going to be the difference in the game. And I think Newberry's going to pull the upset.
I think it's going to be really close, man. And, you mentioned it. I want to see these highlights again because look at the nasty cats flying around. You're going to pick against that, John?
Hey, this was a really,
You're going to pick against that, John?
I was actually –
Johnny Allen right there going to the house?
I bet he won't put a hat on it.
River Bluff High School.
Yeah, you got your Avery McCall throwing dots here. Look at, actually going to
those guys aren't coming back. If they were there, maybe a different story.
We got Hamilton. We got my boy Fling.
Yeah.
Zay Robertson out wide.
Well, yeah.
How about this, guys? Another fun fact here. Dillon legend, Clemson Tiger great Derek Hamilton on the Newberry coaching staff.
Very cool.
So how about that? That'll be a fun little wrinkle there as these two get together.
The noodle.
I think Dillon, man, I think that Loris loss may have been a good thing for them. It made them kind of clean some things up, focus up a little bit more. They put the hammer down on Marlboro County a few weeks back. They're playing good football right now. I don't love it that it's on the road. I don't love that for Dillon, but I think the Wildcats, I think they're on a mission right now. I think they win this game. Jerel, who do you like in this one? This is a big time matchup here.
Oh, I'm going Dillon. I'm going to let John, stand on, sit on that ship by himself, so I'm going to let him go on the limb this week and let him be on on social media for making this pick, but he's standing on it. I love it. I love it, John. He has no qualms about it. He's ready to go. That's exciting, man.
I don't know if anybody from Dillon watches, so
we're gonna find out. I don't know.
We certainly are.
If I go to the game.
Oh man, let's look back at the rest of the 3A slate here.
We'll see. Orangeburg Wilkinson traveling to Keenan.
That's an interesting game there. A sneaky good game. You know, OW they were down 16-0 to Ainer last week and came back and won. And Ainer's not the type of team you can really come back against with a ball control there. Big win for the Bears. Keenan continues to roll. They have played really good football this year. They are that Raiders bunch is tough. You know, they had a weird situation when they lost their coach right before the season started. Had an interim all year long, but they were playing good football there. I think at home that's a really, really good matchup. I'm
going to go with Keenan. I like their defense. They play really good on that side of the football. That's big time in the playoffs. They're at home as well. I'm going to take the Raiders. And then on the top side of that lower state bracket, Loris hosting Hanahan.
Loris, first game in 21 days. Their region did not, you know, take advantage of that extra week that was added on. They ended up getting a bye last week when Marlboro County was in the eligible playoffs. They didn't have a team to play, so they got a bye. This will be their first game, I guess, in 3 weeks now. The Lions are playing good football, man. They play good football all year long. Want to run the ball with Percha and Stevens, throw it with Moon Jerel, let the defensive line eat up front. Tough matchup for Hanahan going on the road. I think Loris wins this one. I think the Lions are in for a deep playoff run.
I do too, and a great atmosphere over there at Loris. Really good place to watch a game. Good support they have, and a really good team. They deserve the support.
If you go to the game, get the chicken box, right, John?
Yeah, chicken box are great. Get it early. They do run out.
Any other 3A comments, Jerel?
Dillon with at least 2 interceptions.
I like it.
They may win the game.
Curtis says Dillon in a close one. Najee says, can Dillon defend the pass? I think they do pretty good. I think they've gotten better as the season goes on. Just says Dillon by 14. Curtis Johnson, John eating crow next week.
That's fine. That's fine. I got to eat every day.
Francis Newberry's very good. 3 losses to Clinton, Fairfield Central, Chapin. All 3 losses are single digits. They have. And they've got a good win over Keenan as well. So that Newberry team has been good this season.
Great.
That's it for the comments there.
Well, let's shout out some friends of the program right quick, Jerel, before we move down to 2A.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Looking for top-notch sports gear and uniforms? Look no further than First Team Sports. With 30 years of serving the Carolinas, First Team Sports is your local full-service dealer. From youth teams to colleges, we've got you covered with team uniforms, staff apparel, letterman jackets, sports equipment, and facility branding. Visit our local store in Greenville or firstteamsc.com. Make First Team your first choice. Let's look at 2A now, John.
2A Lower State. Barnwell hosting Timberland.
This is a scary game in round 2 for Barnwell. Timberland's big and physical, a type of team that can lean on you if they want to and just control the clock. I think the Warhorses win, but this is a tough round 2 matchup.
Yeah, Timberland, impressive win over Lake City last week. Lake City team that's not bad in their own right. Sherrall hosting East Clarendon.
I think Sherrall, too many athletes. East Clarendon's, well coached, does the right thing. I don't think they had the playmakers that the Braves have outside or in the backfield. I think Sherrall wins this game.
They got to show up, but I think they do. I think they do, and I think they win. One of our CONA games of the week, go back and check this one out. We talk about Manning, Hampton County. Winner of that game will take on Philip Simmons and King Street. They're playing over at Philip Simmons High School Friday.
I was super impressed with King Street. A big win over a Goodwell Branch team last week. I beat them by a couple scores there.
Yes.
Played really well for Coach Smith. Philip Simmons, we know what they can do. They had a big win over, Mullins with Oriana throwing it to Kellerman and whatnot. King Street, they can get Tyleek Dukes going. They got a chance, but I think Philip Simmons a little too much fire. But I think they win this game.
I think this will be a close game, though. I think this will be a good one here. On the upper state side of the bracket, we will see first game. Also, one of our CONA games of the week. Chester traveling to Clinton. Yep. That's going to be a fun one there.
If you missed that one, back at the beginning of the show, you can always go watch that.
Intriguing matchup here a little bit. Batesburg-Leesville hosting Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson destroyed a good Liberty team on the road. That was, to me, that was the upset of the week last week. Can AJ play that good of football 2 weeks in a row? I don't know if they're going to be able to play good enough to beat Batesburg-Leesville, but it certainly raises your eyebrows and gets your attention.
Yeah, had a big game for Demias Seegers in that win. Batesburg-Leesville continues to roll. They played, I guess 2 close games. They beat Abbeville in a close one, beat Strom Thurmond in a close one. That's how they've rolled everybody. I think they're a very good football team, but Andrew Jackson will be a good second-round test.
Yes. Fairfield Central hosting Chesney, and Central of Pageland will be hosting Saluda to close out the 2A slate.
I think Saluta's defense, too much fire, or not too much fire, but I think the defense is too strong. I think they hold down a athletic Central team. Saluda, they got to find a way to score the ball a little bit better than what they've been doing lately. I still think the Tigers win that one.
I think this will be a close game too. I like Saluda as well.
Any 2A comments, Jerel, from you or the chat? Curtis says Saluda over Central. I agree with you on that one. BL will beat AJ. I agree there as well, Curtis. Leah says Landon Robinson, 41 carries, 313, 3 touchdowns for Walhalla. Huge win last week. Huge game for Landon. One of our former players of the week from early in the season had a great game. One of our playoff performers this week. Caleb Levy, 18 for Newberry, is the X factor. He is a playmaker for sure. They'll need a big game from him and Howes to win that one on Friday.
Secondary for Dillon is the weaker part of that defense as well.
Let's keep rolling, guys.
Down to 1A now, Jerel, or John and Jerel, everybody here.
We'll start on the upper state. Intriguing matchup here. Abbeville hosting Blackville Hilda. Obviously, Abbeville is the class of 1A, but Blackville Hilda is a very good team in their own right. I don't think they've got enough to win this game, but do you think they're good enough to keep it competitive?
To win a game like this, if you're the Fighting Hawks, I mean, you got to have your stud put the team on his back. Jaquel Holman, the South Carolina commit, is good enough to do that. And I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a superstar effort from him to win this game. I think Abbeville, though, they got too many guys, Leach and Patterson and Norman and just everybody there. I think they're just too good all around. I think Blackville Hilda could keep it close for a while. I just don't have quite enough weapons. And the defense, I think, is going to struggle second half as well.
Okay. We'll see Lamar hosting Lee Central. Abbeville by 30, Daydream. Ooh.
Lamar beat Lee Central in the region a few weeks back. I think they win again this week.
Hunter Kenner Tyler hosting Dixie. Love this HKT squad. I think they win again.
Yeah, I think they beat up on Dixie pretty good.
I think it might be kind of
You think so?
I think it'd be close.
I think Mance is the back there for Dixie. He can score a little bit, but I think HKT too big, too physical. I think they win that one.
Daydream's guys, Louisville be hosting Rich Spring Monetta.
Rich Spring Monetta, quarterback Jaden Holloway had 6 touchdowns last week. He's a good player. Louisville's got a lot of good players. I think the Lions win this one.
Yeah, I agree. On the lower state side, Cross hosting Ridgeland.
Big Cross, not the little one, John. They're playing football there for Coach Wright.
See if they can keep it rolling here. Hannah Pamplico hosting Denmark Olar. Hannah Pamplico team that's been playing good.
I think we might see some points in this game. I think Coach Littlejohn and Coach Woodbury there can light it up. I think we might see a high-scoring affair between those two bunches.
Love to see it. Lakeview hosting Johnsonville. Johnsonville with a little bit of the upset last week over Branchville. We had a feeling that could happen.
Mm-hmm. It
did. Lakeview, really good team. I don't think they overlooked Johnsonville at all. I think the Wild Gators will be ready to go and win this one.
Johnsonville had a down year by Flash's standards. They beat an 8-win team first round of the playoffs. That's what they do, man. Coach Cribb has those boys ready to play when no October, November roll around. Big win for them. Another region matchup here. Lakeview handled them pretty easily. Back in the region play, they do it again. But great win for Johnsonville. I still think Lakeview, though, they're playing too good with Foxworth and Hurlong and whatnot. I think they win that game.
And the final game of the night, Bamberg Earhart playing host to Baptist Hill.
Bamberg Earhart, big win last week. I think was it 50+ they scored? 65 they scored against Bethune-Bowman. Love Coach Crosby's bunch there, playing good football. Baptist still had a nice win over Latta, shut out a solid Latta team there. I think the Red Raiders are too much. I think they win this game. I'm looking forward to them in Lakeview here in a couple weeks.
Will be very fun to see that game, if we get to see that game.
Yes. Can't unsee HKT versus Blackville Hill to score a big. I agree with you, Nathan. There, I think Abbeville is a different level from a lot of these folks right now. JD said Abbeville by 21. That sounds probably about right. Curtis said Abbeville upper state champs. HKT by 20 plus, says Dadrian. I think so too. Louisville by 40. Louisville's been writing down their own score. They can do whatever they want. I mean, they've been smoking boys. Lakeview wins big, says Curtis. Okay. Cross by a lot, says Tanisha. I agree as well. Denmark by 14, says Dadrian. Right. I think we see points, so I don't know how close we'll see. Bias says RSN with the upset dub. Okay, that'll be a shocker there if that happens. Lakeview by 14, says Dadrian.
Yeah, I believe that.
Decay, says Najee. Got to say, Decay is playing good football. They're playing really good football right now. They continue to really get a big win over the Hornets. Shout out Najee and the boys there at HKT.
Ask Blackville how good they are.
That's right.
Let's keep rolling, guys.
Let's look now at the SCISA ranks. It is state title weekend down at Charleston Southern for most of these games, John. We'll start with 4A on Friday night. Porter Gout against Hammond at 7 p.m. How about this? Hammond going for their 8th straight state title. 8 straight. I mean, unreal what Coach Wheeler has done there, building off of the success of Coach Kimmery and whatnot. The Skyhawks won this game 28-15 back in September when they played Porter Gout. Andrew Turner, Manny Johnson, Mike Tyler, Brewer Lamass, probably too much for J.J. Flood and Porter Gout there. I think the Skyhawks make it 8 in a row. The 3A game, 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night, Wilson Hall, Pinewood Prep. The Panthers, 49-7 in the first matchup. Asa Wyndham had a big game, 315 passing, 4 touchdowns. Wilson Hall, they want to run the ball for Coach Jarecki with McLaurin, Galloway, and Myers. Also rely on Myers, Wilson, Howell, and Bonser on D. Pinewood Prep running back Jeremiah Singleton, one of our players of the week earlier on this season. 234 touchdowns last week, 1,700 yards, 28 TDs on the season. I think Coach Devontae Holloman gets his first state title in SCISA football this week with a big 3A win. The 2A matchup, 3:30 Saturday, PD against Bethesda, our SCISA game of the week. Talked about that one earlier on in the show there. The 1A game, Thomas Hayward against Williamsburg, 12 o'clock on Saturday. Williamsburg won a September matchup 28-26. Quarterback for the Stallions, Micah Balder, threw for a touchdown, ran for 162 and two more touchdowns last week. Running back Grant Small, defensively Arden Tilton for head coach Tyler Boyd there. Thomas Hayward, 49-14 over Dorchester. The Dorchester team has been up and down lately, hard to figure out. This game was 14 all at half. Blow them out second half. THA, since the first matchup between Williamsburg and them, they have moved Tonio Banner to strictly running back now. No more quarterback for him. Last week, he went for 214, 3 touchdowns. I think it's working out pretty well for them, averaging 160 per game. Quarterback Kieran Bogus. How do you say that one there, John, you think, for last
Bogus, maybe?
Yeah, the quarterback Kieran Bogus has stepped in, played well for them. Defensively, Banner had 14 tackles, Pinckney with 23 tackles, People and Major 10-plus tackles, too. Like I mentioned, since that first matchup, they've really moved things around, gone Banner to running back, really focused on 1 or 2 formations, kind of simplified things there. I think Williamsburg's gotten better as well. I think they win this game here in the rematch. I think the Stallions for Coach Boyd get a state title. And then the 8-man game, this is Friday night at WW King, 7:30. Lawrence Academy versus Richard Wynn. Richard Wynn won this game 56-20 back in September. Lawrence, the upset win over JDA in overtime last week. Big game from Ethan Collins. Garrett Murphy, 29 for 184, 4 touchdowns, and 76 receiving yards. Receiver Caleb Hardy had 11 grabs. Defensively, Candelas, Vaughn, Hardy, and Bell for head coach Jolly Doolittle. Richard Wynn, a big win over Warlaw last week. Quarterback Charlie Bonds, running back Eli Smith, Josh Tyndall out wide. Defensively, Bonds, Gettings, and Galliard for head coach Paul Brigman. I think Richard Wynn is too good, man. I think they're, a really good football team. Lawrence is good as well. I mean, you don't beat a team like JDA without being a good football team at this point in the season. But I think our Richard Wynn, the Eagles, too much fire. I think they win that game. Alice says she loves people at Lawrence. Got family playing there. Got to go with the Eagles. Yeah, quarterback Charlie Bonds, the FMU baseball commit,
very nice,
can get it done there with Tyndall, Nicholson, and Smith. I think the Eagles win. Great call there, Allison. I agree with you on that. John Jerel, any comments from you guys on these SCISA games? Any teams you want to pick? My picks, I'm going Richard Wynn in 8-man, Williamsburg in 1A, PD in 2A, Pinewood Prep in 3A, and then Hammond in 4A. Any changes from that you guys like? Trey says, let's go Williamsburg. Coach Boyd's a great coach. Baseball and football gets it done there. I think the Stallions get another win over THA.
I think so.
Drell, comments from you. Brian says PD and Williamsburg win. I agree with you, Brian. I think both those teams win those games on Saturday.
I'll copy your picks. Just got to say hi to Allison. Hope Drew's doing well. Misreading his stats every week.
Yes. I will probably be down there Saturday at Charleston Southern. If you guys are there, feel free to say hello. Love to have you, chat it up with you and cover those games. Should be a lot of fun down there at Charleston Southern. Have not been to a game there, so you see how that stadium looks. I don't know.
And is that Drew Spires I saw on the Citadel
yes
roster?
Yes,
I was looking at their
yes.
depth chart and roster earlier today, and I recognized his name. So
yep, Richard
awesome
Wynn, standout there. Drew Spires now at the Citadel. Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program before we move on to the next portion.
Preferred Home Services. How can we make you smile today? Preferred Home Services. For electrical or plumbing, cooling too. Go, 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 Preferred.
Set your kids up with a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Just like learning the rules of football, understanding money management is crucial. Our Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Give your young MVPs the skills they need to move the chains on their financial futures. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. If you guys have missed any of our shows so far, once we get finished, it will be live on Facebook and YouTube. You can go back and watch any part. I'll try to put some timestamps on there if you want to listen to just your class or just your game. We'll try to have that in there for you. But, Jerel, our Pick'em contest for the playoffs is now live. Round 1 in the books. So I have a separate contest for this, a separate prize for the playoffs. I'll say it. I had a hard time round 1, man. There was a lot of really tough calls, I felt like. But then we see the scores, John, and some folks were just all over it. Jerel, let's share our Pick'em contest brought to you by Hannah Engineering. We had 3 10s. Brandon, Joey, and Joshua with 10 spots. A lot of 9s, a lot of 8s. John and I had 7. Jerel was 6. And I thought I was lucky to get 7. It was a tough slate last week.
Yeah, it was a lot tougher than I expected.
Could have gone either way on many of these, it felt like. But once again, our Pick'em contest brought to you by Hannah Engineering. That's posted on our social media now on our website as well. Go join that. Go be a part of it. It's a lot of fun. Gives you a reason to keep up with all the games, not just your team. So I hope you guys will join in and doing that Pick'em with us. It's a lot of fun. Once again, brought to you by Hannah Engineering. We're trying in the future to hopefully get enough prizes for each week or maybe 2 or 3 places. I don't know. But if you guys want to donate to a prize, feel free to donate to a prize. We'd love to have it, and we'll get that out next year. That will be a lot of fun. Do want to shout out our teams of the week. We got Bowling Springs, big win over Dorman. Darlington, the nice win over Midland Valley, and Orangeburg-Wilkinson, the win over Aner. Teams of the league brought to you by Preferred Home Services. Our playoff performers insured by the Georgia HTC guys. If you not see it, we have a blog up. It's posted on our website, on our social media pages. Has a lot of great stat lines for some kids who just showed out last week. As always, continue to send us those stats each and every week. Send it to us on Facebook or email or Twitter or whatever. If you give us a stat line, we'll read it on the recap show. We'll put it in the blog. We want to give these kids the shine they deserve. So continue to send us those. Looking forward to seeing a lot of great performances again this week. Once again, our playoff performers insured by the George Agency. Any thoughts from you, John, from you, Jerel, on round 2 before we kind of get into that wrap-up mode here?
Yeah, I'm really excited. We got a lot more good games this week and setting up for a really exciting 3rd round next week as well.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. I will say those state title contenders, don't look ahead of your opponents this week because you can certainly get tripped up. This is the week that you usually see some crazy upsets. So I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's going to be some really big name go down this week, and we're not going to see it coming at all. Could be who knows who. No, I'm not going to say any names, but I think we see a big upset this Friday for sure.
Well, I said mine already.
Who'd you call?
Yeah,
Newberry.
He called Dillon losing. Yeah, Newberry over Dillon. I'm standing on it. Love that. No, I'm excited too because I have completely terrified all Daniel fans who watch our program, including Nathan, for that bet. So that's going to be the best part of this week, that they have to sweat the next 3 days thinking about this second round. And we just mentioned it. This is the week of upsets.
The Jerel curse.
Will Wilson's a good player. D1,
really good
Power
player.
5.
Really good player.
Man, hate to see something like that happen.
You would.
I do agree. I think Daniel is the better football team, man. Should be a lot of fun. But appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, follow us on Facebook, on Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, website movinchains.com, podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Bradley says PDA has the best hot dogs as well. I agree, Bradley. Man, if you watch our Food Review Fridays, that is a high score. They have not been topped yet this season. Looking forward to getting a good one on Friday. We had a pretty good one at Chester last week, too.
What's up?
The logistics of the stand were not great, but the hot dog and nachos are pretty good, though.
Yeah. good value, good deal. Got chili and cheese on the nachos. It was solid. Gonna be a cold night. Looking forward to something good and hot on Friday.
Yes, be sure to, like I mentioned, follow us on YouTube as well. I know we had the issue last week where our Facebook stream dropped out. Don't let that happen again. You don't get caught with your pants down. So make sure you follow us everywhere in case something like that does happen. Appreciate you guys doing that who do already. Get your MTC merch. Jerel's got it on the screen already. I love it, Jerel. We got some great toboggan / beanies, a black one and a gray one. John wore his gray one on Friday. Looked really good there. We got some great Richardson hats. Gray front with a black back and kind of a grayish back. We got a black front one as well. All these are posted on our social pages and also on our website. You can email mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can message us on social media to buy one as well. Some great t-shirts, a black one, a gray one, a navy blue, and a pink. Also, get your t-shirts today or your hoodies. Really high-quality stuff. I think I wore my hoodie last week, too. It was very cold out there. We got him a stone ash one along with the gray one. Get yours today to help support the boys. Love to have you guys repping our stuff out at the games, man. It would be a lot of fun. Any other comments from the chat, Jerel, here in our round 2 preview show? Bradley says, kind of excited for playoff football starting to wrap up. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks,
thank you, Bradley, for hopping in as always, man. Yeah, and it is sad. Like, we're getting into some really good football games, but it is getting closer and closer to the end. Appreciate you, Chris, as always, man. Thanks for the kind words. Thank you for tuning in. Brandon says, didn't know Myrtle is 5A now. Clinton beat them in the 2009 state title. Yes, they just went up from 4A to 5A now. That was when they had Everett Golson. Great point there, Brandon. A baller on the hardwood as well, not just a great football player, good basketball player. Yeah, Everett was also.
Everett Golson, and who was the guy just before Everett or just after Everett was really, really good too. And his name escapes me.
They've had J.D. Melton has been there. Mitch, what was the quarterback? Mitch back in the day. They've had, obviously, Ryan Berger went to App State. You had Luke Doty at South Carolina now. Allison, great to hear that Drew's doing well, man. That is awesome. Always a favorite of ours, man. Really, really good kid. They love to see him doing well at the Citadel. Jerel, any final thoughts from you on round 2 here?
I've been telling you guys all year, subscribe on YouTube. So do it.
Blow it up. Blow it up. Once again, do want to shout out our friends at Chester. They were nice to us last week. Coach Campbell, Coach Floyd, Coach Stillwell as well. Talked to Coach Webb from Strom Thurmond. Lots of great folks there. That was a really fun environment. Not sure it'll be Friday, but if you see us out at the game, come say hello. We'd love to talk to you. Love to chat with you. And also, we're going to have some merch probably in the back of the trunk. So if you want to get a hat or a shirt or a toboggan, a hoodie maybe, let us know. Might be able to hook you up there. But Movin The Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel, Hendricks, and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our round 2 playoff preview show for South Carolina High School football. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit